زاد يا زاد يا أخي
بدأ في عمدة الفقه البارحة.
وين أنت؟
عمدة الفقه يا أخي.
أنت غائب يا شيخ. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. طيب, this is class number 31. Inshallah, inshallah we're going to finish, hopefully inshallah we're going to try to finish Kitab al-Salat before Ramadan. So tonight, next Wednesday, and possibly Monday also. There's two sections that we're going to save for Ramadan, which is Salat al-Eid, how to pray Salat al-Eid. We'll save that to the end of Ramadan. And the only other section is the section of Salat the eclipse prayer that we prayed last year, sometime around last year. The eclipse prayer is not long. It's better if we go through it, and then we did the demonstration last year before we prayed the eclipse prayer. So we got a demonstration on the YouTube page. So outside of Salat al-Eid and the eclipse prayer, the only thing left is the details for Salat al-Jumu'ah. So last week we started Salat al-Jumu'ah, and now we're on the next section, which is the shurut, the conditions, sihhat Salat al-Jumu'ah, for Salat al-Jumu'ah to be valid. So the author, rahimahullah, he mentions four conditions for Salat al-Jumu'ah to be valid. Tayyib, 4 conditions. The first condition, he says, rahimahullah, يشترط لصحتها شروط ليس منها إذن الإمام. ليس منها إذن الإمام. The conditions for it to be valid, and it is not a condition for, when it says the Imam here, and I left my paper, when it says the Imam, not the Imam of, it's talking about the Imam of the country, meaning the leader of the country does not have to authorize, we don't need this authorization to pray Salat al-Jumu'ah. It's not like the leader of the country can shut down Jumu'ah. All right, we don't need meaning we don't need the authorization of the Imam, his permission to establish Salat al-Jumu'ah. So that's not a condition. So the first condition is al-waqt. Ahaduha al-waqt, the time. It has to be time for Salat al-Jumu'ah. Now, what time do we usually pray Salat al-Jumu'ah? Dhuhr, basically, Dhuhr. That's not the time it begins, though. Okay, meaning that's not the earliest time that Salat al-Jumu'ah can be prayed. Salat al-Jumu'ah can be prayed before Dhuhr. Most people don't, but Salat al-Jumu'ah can be prayed before Dhuhr. So he says, well, awwaluhu awwalu waqt Salat al-Eid. And he didn't mention the time. He said the time, the earliest time you can pray Salat al-Jumu'ah is the same as the earliest time you can pray Salat al-Eid. And when do we usually pray Salat al-Eid? In the morning, right? 9-ish. We pray at 9-ish, right? 9, 10. But Salat al-Eid can be prayed earlier than that. Salat al-Eid can be prayed earlier than that. The author in this case here, right here, he only says, he compares it to Salat al-Eid. Salat al-Eid is prayed, basically the earliest time you can pray Salat al-Eid is Salat al-Duha, if we know what time Duha is. And we did Duha, right? So what time is Duha? Huh? 4:12. Duha starts when?
A certain amount of time after the sun is risen.
Right. After Fajr. All right.
Like the sun shoots.
All right, let's just, around about time, what is that?
That's 7, 8.
7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning. Salat al-Duha starts earlier than 12. So that's the earliest time you can pray Salat al-Eid. It's the earliest time you can pray Salat al-Jumu'ah. Therefore, Salat al-Jumu'ah can be prayed 8 o'clock in the morning on a Friday. Just like Salat al-Eid can be prayed 8 o'clock in the morning. Even though most people pray Salat al-Eid like 9-ish, 10-ish. right? But in some masjids, they pray Salat al-Eid at 7. They pray 7:30, 7:15. So if people had to go to work, they go to pray a certain place so they know they can get there, and they still have to go to work that day. So that's the earliest it can be prayed for Salat al-Jum'ah. وَآخِرُهَا آخِرُ وَقْتِ Salat al-Dhuhr. The limit for praying Salat al-Jum'ah is the end of Salat al-Dhuhr. So when Salat al-Dhuhr is over, the time frame for Salat al-Dhuhr is over, and Asr, the adhan for Asr, you can no longer pray Salat al-Jum'ah. And if that happens, then what are we praying? Dhuhr. We wouldn't pray Jum'ah, we would pray Dhuhr. That's the first condition. The second condition, or before there, he says, فإن خرج وقتها قبل تحريم صلوا ظهرا وإلا فجمعة, which you just said, Abdurrahman. If the time ends and we didn't pray, meaning if the adhan for Asr is called on a Friday and we didn't pray Salat al-Jum'ah yet, right? Then we're going to pray. That means we're praying what? We're praying Dhuhr. As long as we say the first takbirah, Allahu Akbar, before the adhan of Asr, we praying Jum'ah. Everybody clear? As long as on a Friday, let's just say the khutbah is long, the Imam is late, something happens, and it's getting close to Salat al-Asr, right? We haven't prayed Jum'ah yet. This happened here one time. The Imam was still giving a khutbah, and it was like 2 minutes to the adhan of Asr. I was trying to tell the Imam to hurry up. You know what I'm saying? He kept, alhamdulillah. As long as we say for Jumu'ah, now it's time to pray Jumu'ah, he call it a comma. As long as he says Allahu Akbar before the adhan for Asr goes off, we still pray Jumu'ah. But if the adhan of Asr already goes off, then we got to pray Dhuhr, even though we just listened to 2 khutbahs for Jumu'ah. Everybody clear? Because we missed the time for the Salat. We missed the time for Salat al-Jum'ah. So the end of it is the end of Dhuhr. And if time goes out before we say the first just the opening takbirah, Allahu Akbar. If we miss that and the adhan for Asr comes in, then we have to pray Dhuhr. Tayyib. The second condition, and this one has 4. Not this one. We already did 1. This is number 2, and it's 4. The second condition, and this is the one we spoke about last week because it was connected to the other issue of the tally of people. How many people had to be there? 40. 40 people of who Jumu'ah is obligatory on. Not just 40 random people. Right? He says, Uhudhur arba'in min ahli wujubiha. For the people who Jumu'ah is obligatory on, it has to be 40 of those people. Everybody clear? If it's not 40 of those people, then what do we pray? Dhuhr. Clear? Tayyib. He says, and I think we spoke a little bit about this last week, right? All right. And it was, just so we understand the author, this is the opinion of the author. Some of the scholars say no, just in case you see people praying and it's not 40 people. All of the scholars don't agree with the number 40. So it's a difference of opinion in that issue as far as the number of people. Some people, as we see from the author, based on narrations, and both have dalil, both sides have dalil. Those who say it needs to be 40 people, they have dalil. Those who say no, they have dalil. So the scholars differ if it needs to be 40 people to pray Salat al-Jum'ah. So for the other ulama, for these scholars, they're going to say if it's not 40 people for who it's obligatory on to pray Jum'ah. So that means we're not counting who? Who aren't we counting in the 40? We're not counting women. If it's 40 people and 5 of them are women, how many people do we have? We got 35 people. Because it's not obligatory on women. It's not obligatory on who else? One easy. Traveler. So let's say it's 40 people, right? 5 of them are women, so we have 35. 3 more of them are travelers, so we down to what? 32. It's a group of ulama say it's not 40, y'all pray Dhuhr. Clear? And then it's the other group of ulama who say no. As long as it's a group, and the least amount for people to be a group is how many? 3. Either way, they say you still pray Jumu'ah. So that one the scholars differ on. Either way, without going into too much detail. Tayyib. Number 3, الثالث أن يكون بقرية مستوطنين. We spoke about these people too. The people is in a city where people live there. And in our time, because they mention people like people who live in, they're mentioning their examples of people that live in tents, right? We don't have people who live in tents, but we do have communities of trailers, right? People who move around. They don't necessarily live anywhere, right? They stay here for a month and a half, maybe 3-4 months, then they leave. It might be a whole community of them. Not those people. The city, the place where Jumu'ah is obligatory, is a place where people live there, buildings. They mention buildings made out of brick or wood. They're not up in it, they're not carrying their houses and going anywhere else. Those people who live in those type of areas like we do, right? That is a condition for the Jumu'ah to be valid, that those are the people praying it in that type of area. We clear? Even though we live in houses, in the structures from the houses, he says, وتصح فيما قارب البنيان من الصحراء. Even though we are people who live in houses and structures and we have masjids, Jumu'ah can be prayed outside. It can be prayed on an open plain. So Jumu'ah is not restricted to being prayed inside the masjid. Everybody clear? It's not restricted to being prayed inside of the masjid. Tayyib. How many people have to be there? 40 from who? Random? 40 people that it's obligatory on. Tayyib, what happens if that 40 goes down in the middle of Jumu'ah, 2 people, it's 40 of us. In the middle of Jumu'ah, 2 people jump up and they leave out. They grab their shoes, their coats, and they leave out. In the middle of the khutbah. Let's just say it's in the middle of khutbah. Or let's just say in the middle of salat. Let's just say we line up to start the salat. Right? You with me? Or 2 people, they just leave in the middle of the salat. We praying, 2 people leave. 2 people grab their coats. I'm just saying, if I'm praying right here, right? And there's brothers on this side right here praying in the front. Sometimes brothers throw their coats in the front. Right? That's how I know they're there. I'm standing back, I can see through I'm not, right? Let's just say 2 of the brothers grab their coats, and sometimes brothers be leaving, they talking. We gotta go. Oh, they say they need somebody to unlock the door. And they leave before we finish the salat. Everybody with me? That means we're not at 40 anymore. We're at what? 38. It was 40 of us. Take away 2, we had 38. If we had 38, are we supposed to be praying Jumu'ah or Dhuhr? If we had 38, are we supposed to be praying Jumu'ah or Dhuhr? Dhuhr. It has to be 40 to pray Jumu'ah. We start praying. While we're praying, 2 of the brothers in the front row grab their coats, they grab their stuff, they grab, maybe the baby is sitting there, they grab the baby, they talking, we got to go, emergency, and they leave. 2 of them. We down to what? 38. We're not stopping anything because we praying. He says, فَإِن نَقَصُوا قَبْلَ إِتْمَامِهَا استأنفوا ظهرا. If 2 people, if the number goes down below 40, before we complete the salat, he says we have to pray the salat over as dhuhr. Even if you kept going, you got to pray over. Let's just say we kept going. Let's just say the Imam didn't know if they really left and he kept going and he prayed all the way through. Then he turned around after Jumu'ah and looked and said, where'd they go? They left? And you can hear them. They said, yeah, it was an emergency. They had to leave. They left? Before we finish? Yeah, before we finish. We got to pray over dhuhr. Why? Further. Because you need 40 people to pray Jumu'ah. And if we don't have 40 people to pray Jumu'ah, that means Jumu'ah is not the obligation for those people. What's the obligation for the people if it's not 40 of them? Dhuhr. So you can't do something that's not obligated for you, right? And leave off with your obligation. Yes. Tahir. We clear? Any questions? Fadl. Yes, Sheikh.
So, in other words, in the midst of the prayer,
Yes.
that means the man must realize, if he realizes it is under 40, then you redo it again and pray the Lord.
Yes. Even if he prayed the whole salat, right, and he turns around and there's a gap. Who left? Somebody left. Who left? Somebody left? Right? It's supposed to be 40. 2 people left. That means the number went down from 40 to below 40. It's at 38. If it's at 38, we're not supposed to be praying Jumu'ah. We're supposed to be praying Dhuhr. Fadl. Yes.
Now, you got your 40,
Got your 40.
and you in the last rak'ah.
Tayyib, yalla, yes.
Somebody leave out the goal, broke they wudu and went out and came back and they didn't catch the end of it.
Didn't catch the end of what?
Get back to the prayer in Jumu'ah.
Allah Allah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Allah Allah. I understand what you're saying. Allah Allah. If I think about it,
But you have to, you know,
if I think about it,
and
then
then pray Lord in the same content.
let me think about that, Sheikh. Fadl.
Imam, so this would have to be for a masjid that's established over years time because masjid fluctuate. And I don't want to even get into durur, like situation like jail and things like that. But in a masjid that's not established, how would you establish that 40? How would you get that number?
What you mean? You count them?
Yeah, I know, but say like if you a masjid that just started,
Okay.
you know, if only 20 people coming, you wouldn't just have Jumu'ah at all?
La, no Jumu'ah.
So the obligation will be off. That
Yes, that's the point. The point is, in order for the Jumu'ah to be valid, what's one of the conditions? It has to be 40 people for the scholars who hold that opinion. We're not going with the back and forth with the khilaf. We're going with the opinion of the author. According to the author, it needs to be 40 people. If it's not 40 people, we're not praying. It's not on us to pray Jumu'ah. You see what I'm saying? So if it's only 35 of us, what's on us to pray is Dhuhr. That's the obligation on us. Why? Because Jumu'ah is established when it's 40 or more. So we following according to the author. According to the author. Tayyib? Huh? Do you still? We're not doing Jumu'ah at all if it's not 40 people. No khutbah, no anything. We're praying Dhuhr. Fadl.
I've seen that where a masjid closed and said, okay, not enough of us go down to such, we're going to go to such and such masjid and pray Salat al-Jumu'ah.
Tayyib.
I've seen that.
Okay, he's saying that maybe the masjid, there wasn't enough people at the masjid, so they went and joined the masjid that wasn't far from them to pray Jumu'ah because they didn't have enough people to pray the Jumu'ah Salat there. You didn't know that was the issue? And there's some people, y'all, again, some scholars don't hold the opinion you don't need 40. So some people pray Jumu'ah with 10 people. But if you see people doing one or the other, you know why. Okay, that's an issue. طيب. He says, وَمَنْ أَدْرَكَ مَعَ الْإِمَامِ مِنْهَا رَكْعَةً أَتَمَّهَا جُمُعَةً. In order for a person, and this is important, he says, whoever, as we say, prayed with the Imam, they came late, right? And when they joined the Imam, whoever completed one rak'ah with the Imam, whoever completes one rak'ah with the Imam, that means they have to make up how many rak'ahs? One as Jumu'ah. If they completed a rak'ah, if they caught one rak'ah with the Imam, they complete their salat as Jumu'ah, meaning 2 rak'ah. Which means if they don't catch one rak'ah with the Imam, then what are they doing? Praying Dhuhr. Clear? Whoever, من أدرك مع الإمام منها ركعة. Whoever catches the Imam for the prayer. I might have got there late, but I catch the Imam and I made 1 rak'ah with him. My rak'ah that I'm making up, that means I'm praying Jumu'ah. I'm gonna make 2. I only have 1 rak'ah to make up because I'm still praying Jumu'ah. Clear? Fadl.
So in other words, you got to catch that ruku.
Good. Yes. And catching a rak'ah means you made ruku' with the imam. You made ruku with the imam. Which means, right? This means if I get to Jumu'ah late, and when I get there, they're in the tashahhud. Did I catch a rak'ah with the imam if they're already in the tashahhud? No. La. That means even when I join the salat with the jama'ah, what am I praying? Dhuhr. Why? Because I missed the rak'ah. I had to make at least one rak'ah with the imam in order to complete my Friday prayers Jumu'ah. Clear? Tayyib. So the next line is the exact thing. He says, وَإِنْ أَدْرَكَ أَقَلْ مِنْ ذَلِكَ. If a person does not pray at least one rak'ah with the imam, that means they joined the salat after the imam came back up in the second rak'ah of Jumu'ah. Jumu'ah is 2 rak'ah. The imam came back up from ruku' in the second rak'ah, Sami Allahu liman hamida. If I join right there, I missed it. Clear? Yes. That means I missed the rak'ah. Fadl.
All right, so in other words, if I come in and then doing the tashahhud, I could just wait and just go ahead and pray Dhuhr.
Why are you going to do that?
So do you get the this is my question.
Further.
Do you get the benefit of any part of the Jumu'ah? You saying that you missed it, so
If you, he said, so if I come in late, I should just wait. But now you're gonna miss the jama'ah. Even if you come late, you still join because you still may catch the jama'ah. Even though I gotta pray dhuhr because I didn't pray a rak'ah with the imam, I still get the reward for joining the jama'ah.
so what part of the what part of the Jumu'ah you mean? The Jumu'ah for Jumu'ah?
It don't make a difference. I'm praying with the congregation. As opposed, if I wait and the congregational prayer is better than praying alone, as the Prophet ﷺ said, 25 times better at least. And then one narration says it's 27 times better to pray in the jama'ah than to pray by yourself. So if I come and for Jumu'ah, right, and I see the imam, he's making it tashahhud. Why should I stand to the side and end up praying alone when I can join the congregation and at least get part of that 25 for joining the congregation? And I'm still praying dhuhr. Tayyib. So he says, if a person prayed less than a rak'ah with the imam, he says, أَتَمَّهَا ظُهْرًا إِنْ كَانَ نَوَى الظُّهْرِ. He said, you can complete it, and this is important, you can complete it as dhuhr if when you lined up to join the salat, you intended to pray dhuhr. In order to do this, you got to have what? Fiqh. Knowledge. You have to understand the issue. A person who never even learned this is never going to understand the issue. If I come in the salat for Jumu'ah, right, I'm running late, I got out of work late, I'm on my way to the masjid, I get there, I walk in, they in the tashahhud. I already know I missed Jumu'ah. I know that. When I line up to join the Jama'ah, I'm praying dhuhr. I'm going to line up to pray dhuhr. I didn't pray a rak'ah with the imam or anything. I missed a rak'ah, they already on the tashahhud. When I line up, I'm joining the Jama'ah, I'm going to line up with the intention to pray dhuhr. I'm gonna pray with the imam, right? Even if I came after even if I came and he was in sajda, whatever, I'm gonna finish with the imam, and I'm gonna finish and pray dhuhr when I have to complete my salat. Why? Because I intended to pray dhuhr when I lined up. Which means if you don't intend to pray dhuhr, you can't do that. Yes.
So I'm trying to think of a prayer that this would be similar to. Is this only because it's Jumu'ah prayer that if you don't make that first rakat with the imam, or you don't catch a 4 rakat with the imam, you now miss the Jumu'ah's gone. It's door for you now. Huh?
What you mean?
Oh, Salatul Eid would be the same thing.
What are you trying? I don't understand the question now.
So I'm asking because Jumu'ah is 2 rakats in the 2-part khutbah. That's that 4. What I'm asking is, this doesn't really count for no other prayer because if you miss one with the imam, you just make up what you missed, right?
If you miss one what?
Rakat.
Miss one rakat.
If you miss 1 rakat, if you miss 2 rakats,
Okay.
you make up what you missed. But what I'm hearing that you're saying, and maybe I'm confused, is that if you miss 1 full rakat with the Jumu'ah prayer, you don't have Jumu'ah prayer no more.
But you missed 2 rak'ahs.
So what?
You missed 2 rak'ahs. You missed the last rak'ah. The imam already came up out of ruku'.
Right,
That's how you know if you caught a rak'ah or not.
right.
The rak'ah is caught by the ruku'.
So if you miss that, you just make up 1 rakat.
No.
La-
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not saying that. I got that. Oh, yeah. Same thing.
Okay.
So if he's on the last rakat
Yes.
to shahad,
Yes.
finger out,
Yes.
and you come in,
Yes.
you, in your mind, you not have the intention to pray Dhuhr, you got the intention to pray Jumu'ah. You just late.
Yes. A
You
person.
jump in. You realize that that's the last rakat. You stand up, you make 2 rakats. You say, no, don't make 2 rakats.
Don't make 2 rak'ahs.
Why is it like that? That's what I'm asking.
You missed Jumu'ah. You blew your Jumu'ah by missing both rak'ahs before the imam came up.
Would that be the same like the Sheikh said for Eid?
No. Clear? Most important thing, this is the most important thing in these books. This book in this class is not necessarily, Sheikh, you with me? Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. Listen what I'm saying. Don't listen to him. Listen what I'm saying. No, he ain't clear. He can't. No, he's not clarifying. He can't be clarifying. Listen what I'm saying. These books on this level, the most important thing in these books is understanding the issue. Not if you agree with the issue, not if it's the stronger opinion. That's not the issue with these books. Understanding this is an issue. That's the most important thing. Okay? You might say, well, I read something else I saw. Oh, cool. But understand the issue. Because sometimes stuff happens and we didn't even know that was even an issue. I didn't even know that was an issue in Islam. You see what I'm saying? So these are more for understand the issue. Could it be done another way? Possibly. Is the other way possibly even stronger as far as Dalil? Possibly. But that's not what this level book is for. These level books, the introductory level books, are to understand what's the issue. What are we even talking about? That's an issue? I didn't even know that was a situation. I didn't even know that was a situation in Islam. You feel what I'm saying? That's the most important thing. But you're right. That's exactly what he's saying. If you came late to Jumu'ah, don't line up after the imam. You join at the shahad. He's saying what? You already blew your Jumu'ah because you didn't pray at least 1 rak'ah with the imam. That means you line up. You should line up. You can do 1 or 2 things. If I get to Jumu'ah and they aren't at the shahad, I can do either 1 or 2 things. Either I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to line up with the intention of praying Jumu'ah. Right? So I'm going to pray, and I'm going to pray 2 rak'ah, which I wasn't supposed to be doing. Right? And I can't just line up while for Jumu'ah, with the intention of Jumu'ah. I can't line up with the intention for Jumu'ah, and then while I'm praying, making up them 2 rak'ahs, I say, you know what? I forgot I'm supposed to make this dhuhr, and then just make it dhuhr. You have to line up with the intention for dhuhr from the beginning. Even though I'm joining them on their last rak'ah for Jumu'ah. Clear? Fadla.
So if you did that intention, would you have to salam out and make another intention and pray Dhuhr?
You don't have to necessarily salam out, but you still have to pray dhuhr. Even if you finish those 2, you still have to pray dhuhr. Because you never made the intention for dhuhr from the beginning. Tayyib, that was the 3rd. So right now we got 3. We have 3 conditions, right? Time, 40 people, the number of people. Number 3 was you live in the city that is a established city. We're not like a move around city. And the 4th one is 2 khutbahs. Jumu'ah has 2 khutbahs. Khutbatan. Okay? He says, yushtaratu taqaddum khutbatain. The 4th is that there are 2 khutbahs that are given. So that's 4. We clear? In order for the Jumu'ah to be valid. Okay, in order for the Jumu'ah to be valid, number 1, it has to be time to pray Jumu'ah. Number 2, it has to be 40 people. From 40 people there who Jumu'ah is obligatory on. Number 3, it's established in a city that's a solid city. It's not like a pass-through, people not living in RVs and trailers. People live in their houses, standard city like most people live in these days. And number 4, 2 khutbahs are given. Yes, sister. If you listen to the khutbah online, who you gonna pray Jumu'ah with? Pray Jumu'ah with who? Uh-huh. No, y'all doing the right thing. Y'all should be praying Dhuhr. If you're listening online and you're not at Jumu'ah and you're listening at work or you're at home, you're praying Dhuhr. Jumu'ah is established with the Imam. The Imam, and it's 2 khutbahs given. And you're hudur. You're attending the khutbah. They say hudur, attendance, not listening, attendance. Yes. And it's not obligatory on the sisters anyway. And if you wanted to pray Jumu'ah, you need to go to Jumu'ah, attend. Yes.
What if a woman cannot go anywhere outside the masjid and she prays maybe there's a
Sorry.
video of the imam
Huh?
maybe there's a video of the imam praying and she prays with the imam but over the phone.
No praying over the phone. Attending Jumu'ah, hudur, attendance. That's the Jama'ah. The Jama'ah is in attendance. And we spoke about that, even the Jama'ah being connected by the rows. What breaks the rows? If it's too much space in between the rows, you're not even part of the Jama'ah anymore. Let alone you all the way in the house somewhere or all the way at, you know what I'm saying? The Jama'ah is broken by if it's a street too big that's being used. That breaks the Jama'ah if we praying. Let alone if I'm all the way in the house or I'm all the way at work or somewhere else. Fadlan.
So I got the 4. I just want that issue that we talking about catching the rock. That was more like a little bullet point. That wasn't
Yes.
a condition.
Yeah, that's a bullet. That was a bullet point under number 3. Tayyib. Now, the khutbah itself. The khutbah itself. How many khutbahs? The khutbah itself, the khutbatain. The khutbah has conditions for the khutbah to be valid. Okay? Remember, the khutbatain, the 2 khutbahs is the 4th. Inside of the khutbah itself, he mentions conditions. من شروط من شرط صحتهما. He says the conditions for the khutbahs to be valid, and he mentions here, let me see, 5 things have to be present. 5 things for the khutbah to be correct. Number 1, hamdulillah, that a person praises Allah. The statement alhamdulillah, that a person praises Allah in that khutbah. Number 2, in that khutbah was salatu ala rasulillah, ala rasulihi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That in the khutbah, the Imam sends salam on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Number 3, in the khutbah, qira'atu ayatin, that some verse from the Quran has to be read. There has to be some verse from the Quran read. It doesn't specify you have to read this verse. Yeah, a verse from the Quran has to be read for the khutbah to be valid. Number 4, wal wasiyatu bi taqwallah azza wa jal. The advice has to be given in the khutbah to fear Allah, advising the people listening to have taqwa of Allah. And number 5, وحضور العدد المشترط. Number 5, in order for the khutbah to be valid, the number has to be the same, 40. Those 40 people have to be there throughout the entire khutbah, meaning if we drop down to 5, like the issue we spoke about, what happens if we drop down to 5? If we drop down to 35, what does that mean for us? We pray dhuhr. We shouldn't even be praying Jumu'ah, because there's only 35 of us, so we shouldn't even be doing 2 khutbahs. The 2 khutbahs comes because it's 40 people. Tayyib. So those are the 5 things for the khutbah to be valid. Fadlan.
Person praises Allah, that they send salams on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Yes.
Some verse from the Quran must be read.
Yes.
What's the next one after that one?
The advice to fear Allah. The admonishment to fear Allah. Remind the people to fear Allah in the khutbah. And the last one, that those 40 people who it's obligatory on should still be there. Tayyib? He said it is not a condition when you're given the khutbah. وَلَا يَشْتَرَطْ لَهُمَا. It is not a condition when given the khutbah that the imam is in wudu. It's not a condition when given the khutbah that the imam that is given the khutbah, he does not have to have wudu to give the khutbah. Should he have wudu? He should. But if he doesn't have wudu and he gave the khutbah, does that mean the khutbah is invalid? No, it doesn't mean that. If he doesn't have wudu and he prays salat, is the salat invalid? Yes, the salat is invalid if he prays without wudu. But is the khutbah invalid if he doesn't have wudu? Does the mu'adhin, if the mu'adhin doesn't have wudu, does the adhan have to be called again? No. Wudu is not a condition to call the adhan. Wudu is not a condition for the khutbah, to give the khutbah. Of course, it's better in both cases. Both cases is better. But it's not a condition. He's mentioned the conditions for the khutbah to be valid. Those 5 things he mentioned, then he specifies in wudu, or they say even, they say tahara, not just wudu, tahara. Period. Whether the khatib needed to make a wudu or he needed to make a ghusl. That's not going to invalidate the khutbah. طيب. He says, وَلَا أَنْ يَتَوَلَّاهُمَا مَنْ يَتَوَلَّى الصَّلَاةِ. The second thing that's not a condition for the khutbah to be valid. This is not a condition. He says, the person who gave the khutbah does not have to lead the salah. It is not a condition that the person who gave the khutbah for Jumu'ah lead the salah also. That's normal. We're talking about this, y'all. Look at it like, if a person gave the khutbah and then somebody else led the salat, does that invalidate the Jumu'ah? No. Okay, so it's not a condition. I'm not saying the person who leads the Jumu'ah shouldn't lead the salat. We're just saying it's a condition to the point that if people say you can't do that, you can't let somebody, how you gonna not lead this? He ain't get a khutbah. That's not a condition. They're not attached like that. Tayyib. We clear so far? Tayyib. The next section is sunanul Jumu'ah. The things that are sunnah or recommended on Jumu'ah. You ready? Oh, I'm sorry, not on Jumu'ah. That's coming later. These things were things that are sunnah in the khutbah. Sunnah when given the khutbah. Tayyib. He says, number one, what does it mean, something here? What does this mean? It's sunnah. What's sunnah mean here? Yes? It's something that you should do, but it's not obligatory. Good. What's another word for sunnah here? Recommended. Recommended. This was recommended. He says, أن يخطب على منبر أو مواضع عال. To give the khutbah either on a minbar, like we have, like a minbar, or on an elevated plateau. Something that's a little higher than everybody else so that people can see him. You clear? Either on a minbar or an elevated platform. Either one. Tayyib. That's number one. Number two, sunnah. وَيُسَلِّمْ عَلَى مَأْمُومِينَ إِذَا أَقْبَلَ عَلَيْهِمْ. That he gives salams to the people once he gets on the minbar and he faces them. So what if the imam gets up there and he doesn't say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. He doesn't do that. He walks up on the minbar and he says, the mu'adhin call the adhan. The mu'adhin starts calling the adhan. What did he just miss? He missed the sunnah. That doesn't mean we have to pray Jumu'ah over. That doesn't mean they're on bid'ah. Bid'ah. The brother said bid'ah. Bid'ah. It doesn't mean he's on bid'ah. Allah Muslim, may Allah forgive us. Everything is bid'ah. Everything that we don't know about turns to be bid'ah. As if we know everything. So everything we don't know, everything we've never heard of, we categorize it as being a bid'ah. That's a high level of ignorance. To think that because I've never heard it, it must be wrong. It must not even be from Islam. If I've never heard it, I've never heard anybody that I know say that, it must be a bid'ah. Allah musta'an. Allah musta'an. That means that a person has left off a sunnah. They left off something that is better to do in this case. Tayyib, the third thing that's recommended in the khutbah, he says, ثُمَّ يَجْلِسْ إِلَى فَرَاغِ الْأَذَانِ. That the imam sits down until the adhan is finished being called. I don't know if the sisters notice, but because I don't know if they could see. But when the imam gets on the minbar, he says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Then the imam sits down, sisters. And then the imam sits down while the adhan is being called. And then once the adhan is finished, the imam stands back up, and then he starts the khutbah. Just so if I don't know if they ever saw it before. So it says the third thing that's recommended, sunnah for the one giving the khutbah, is to sit down until the adhan is being called. Once the adhan is being called, then he stands back up and finishes and begins the khutbah. Tayyib. Number 4. He says, وَيَجْلِسَ بَيْنَ الْخُطْبَتَيْنِ. Sunnah, to sit down between the two khutbahs. Sisters, in case you don't know, after the first khutbah, when the imam stops before he gives the second khutbah, usually the imam sits down. He sits down and then he stands back up. So he says the fourth sunnah is that the imam sits down between the two khutbahs. So what if the imam didn't sit down between the two khutbahs? Huh? Huh? No, he did the second khutbah. He just never sat down between the two khutbahs.
So it's no distinguish.
Yeah, how do you distinguish?
Not distinguish.
Listen to the question. What if the imam gives a khutbah, Jumu'ah? At the end of the first khutbah, he makes the dua and he closes out and he stands there, he never sits down.
You missed the sunnah.
He missed the sunnah. That's it. Even though it's better, the sunnah is always better. We're getting to a point so we understand if I leave something or something is left, how does that affect the overall salat? You see what I'm saying? It's not going to invalidate. We got to pray over. Why? The imam didn't sit down when he gave the khutbah. Like when he gave 2 khutbahs, he never sat down. Can you do that? Right? Yes.
Okay. So Imam, let's say that we notice. We notice going into a masjid that when the imam comes out and gets salams, we know that when the adhan is being called, he sits down. We know that he sits down between khutbah.
Yes.
And we know that all of these are just sunnah. We know that.
Never just sunnah.
Alhamdulillah. These are sunnah.
These are sunnah, yahi. It's always better to do. But sometimes, I'm just saying, sometimes people be nervous, they forget to do something.
Got you.
You feel what I'm saying? Fadl.
We in the masjid.
Yes.
He doesn't do any of these things.
Yes.
We're aware of these things. Doesn't have to be done.
Yes.
Is that a cause that we should at least say maybe something is going on?
What you mean?
If he does none of those, if he forgoes all of those sunnah, the ones that you named so far,
Yes.
should we at least say maybe we should have a conversation with him?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, I'm done.
For sure. He said, if somebody leaves off all of them and everybody knows that's from the sunnah, shouldn't we have a conversation about that? Like, why are you not doing anything from the sunnah on the khutbah? Why are you leaving off all? What are you doing? Like, why? What's going on? Maybe it could be a lot of things. Maybe he said bid'ah. Maybe. Listen. Wait. Maybe. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. I'm not here. Come on down now. You missing way too many jumps now. You tired? If you tired, we get somebody. Listen. Maybe he is tired. Maybe the imam has to go back to work. Maybe he doesn't know all of the sunnahs. It's a lot of maybes. Maybe this person is the most qualified person in the community, and guess what? He has to go back to work. He's on his lunch break. So from fiqh, he says, okay, what can I not do and still keep the validity of the Jumu'ah prayer in order so I can get back to my job because I'm on lunch break. I clocked out for lunch. I have to clock back in. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? You with me? He gonna be late for work. If you're gonna keep doing that every week, Allah understand. Either way, if that was the case, but no, it's definitely a conversation. Why? Why are we not doing, you know what I'm saying? Maybe he's doing it to teach people. He might be using it as a teaching. You don't have to do it. Why didn't I do it? Because you don't have to do it. It's Sunnah to do it. I want to show people it's not obligatory to do it. Alhamdulillah. So, but it's definitely a conversation. For sure, definitely a conversation. But I like how he said it's a conversation, it's not an accusation. We're not accusing you of doing bid'ah. We're trying to figure out, it's from the Sunnah to do this, but you didn't do it. Is there a reason you didn't do it? That's a conversation. Tayyib. Tayyib. That was number 4. Number 5. He says, وَيَخْطُبَ قَائِمًا, that he gives the khutbah while standing. Giving the khutbah standing is what? Sunnah. Meaning, if a person gave the khutbah while sitting down, like some of the boys did in the Imam and Student of Knowledge class, the young boys, right? For the boys who were in the Imam and Student of Knowledge class, they're like 9 to 16 they are. So I had them give khutbahs one time. They had to do homework. The homework was everybody had a companion from the Prophet ﷺ, from the hadith that we were learning, and each person had a sahaba, and they had to go do some research on the sahaba, bring 10 points back about each companion that you did research on, and then they did a khutbah, right? They stood up here and they get a khutbah, pull the mic down and give a khutbah. I show them how to give a khutbah. I give them all the instructions, and I sit back just like this and watch them. I'm not correcting them while they doing it or nothing, because everybody else sitting here knows. All the other boys, they know. You're doing it wrong. You didn't open up right. You didn't start off right. You sitting down. Some of them, they sat right there. He pulled the mic down and gave the whole khutbah sitting down, right? So all the kids are looking like, you wrong. You ain't even standing up. Now, they kids, though, but let's just say a person gave the khutbah sitting down. Is the khutbah valid? The khutbah is valid. It's sunnah to stand up. That means a person missed a sunnah. And we're not trying to miss any sunnahs, y'all. That's not the point that we're trying to miss sunnahs. But we need to understand, when we see things, how does that affect us? How does that affect our prayer? How does that affect our worship overall? He was sitting down. So like he said, maybe we need to have a conversation. Why are you sitting down and get a khutbah today? He might say, may Allah protect us all. Huh? My back, man, sciatic. He might say my sciatic nerve was acting up, and he had to sit down and get a khutbah. Unless one of the brothers in the crowd are prepared to come up here and get a khutbah on the spot. We don't even want to call the adhan, so you know we're not giving no khutbah. Right, boss? Had my man call the adhan the other day. We don't even want to call the adhan, let alone give a khutbah. So, now, if the brother's back is hurting, his nerve is bothering him, his sciatic nerve is bothering him, it's come time for Jumu'ah, he sits down and gives the khutbah. We're going to complain about that. We're going to complain. We're going to complain that the imam didn't stand up and get a khutbah today. Forget his nerves and all that. You got to stand up and get a khutbah. Why don't you come give it? My nerves acting like my back hurt. I can't give it. Why don't you come up here and get a khutbah then? No, that ain't my lane. Well, stay in your lane then. Point being, we're not trying not to do the sunnah. We're not trying not to do things that's recommended. But if that were to happen, is the salah still valid? Is the khutbah still valid? We say, well, listen, it's better to stand, but standing during the khutbah is sunnah, so that's not going to invalidate the khutbah. Like, that's the approach. The approach is, none of this is to say, I'm not doing that because that's only sunnah, so I'm not going to do that. No. If this thing were to happen, if I was pressed for time, if this was a situation, and I had to start choosing wisely for this based on the situation, what can I do and what can't I do? Tayyib. That was number 5. Tayyib, number 6. He says, وَيَعْتَمِدَ عَلَى سَيْفٍ أَوْ قَوْسٍ أَوْ عَصًا. He said that the imam giving a khutbah, that he leans on either a sword or, what does it say? A bow. A bow. You know a bow? Like the bow and arrow. Not the arrow. You don't lean on the arrow. The bow. That's a big bow, though. You see what I'm saying? You're leaning on a bow. You use it. Or a stick. A staff or a stick. Has anybody ever seen anybody give a khutbah with like a stick? A staff? All right. Sunnah. Sunnah to give the khutbah and the person ya'tamid. That they lean on that stick or that sword. They might use a sword or a bow. Like a bow, from a bow and arrow, the bow section, not the arrow part, the bow. Tayyib. He says, وَيَقْصِدَ, and that was number 6, right? Number 7. وَيَقْصِدَ تِلْقَاءَ وَجْهِهِ. Sheikh, you reading it? How do they translate that?
Faces ahead. This is also the sunnah on Friday sermon. The preacher should not swing his head left or right.
Okay.
The head.
Oh, what's in bold print?
Bold print.
Yeah, the bold print. I think the bold print is just that he faces, that the imam giving the khutbah
Yeah, he faces the direction.
faces straight directly, meaning he doesn't really move. His focus is right directly in front of him when he's giving the khutbah. But you were reading, it wasn't bold, right? That was the explanation.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to see how he translated that. Did you find it, the bold part for that? It says, وَيَقْصِدَ تِلْقَاءَ وَجْهِهِ, meaning his focus, the imam, the one giving the khutbah, is focused on what's in front of him. He's not really turning left and right. Has anybody ever seen, have you ever seen an imam not turn when giving a khutbah? Or do most people move around? Like turn. Have you ever seen anyone not turn? Or keep their head like directly straight?
Some people kind of naturally do it, depending on the setup.
Yeah, depending.
I know some matches, the men, what is it called again with the enclosure? I forget what it's
Oh, the mihrab.
called. I've seen some when he's staying closer to that, so it's, you know what I mean? It's like, and it's like, you see how this setup is, it's not this. It's like
Yo,
Gerard for
hey.
So you kind of
Sit in.
gotta, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when you're talking, you know, it's like a natural.
It's a natural thing, because there's people over here, it's like you're ignoring them.
Yeah.
Right, but if you ever look at,
It's going long. It's
right,
Like, you know what I mean?
if you ever look at the khutbah at the haram on YouTube, they do the live khutbah at the haram. If you ever look at the imam giving the khutbah, he doesn't really move. He's kind of like, just like this. He doesn't really do any, right? They saying that this is recommended, sunnah, to just focus on right directly what's in front of you. So don't think that if a person moves while they're giving the khutbah, you know, it's bid'ah, right? If you that's not how it goes. So if a person moves while giving a khutbah, it doesn't mean it's bid'ah. It means that they left a sunnah. This is important, y'all. The term, even saying it like that, even saying leaving a sunnah, even that type of terming, that type of wording, it means the time to practice that sunnah passed and I missed the opportunity to practice it. Doesn't mean a person left the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know what I'm saying? It means that the time to practice that sunnah already passed. You missed it. For example, Salatul Eid. The takbirat on Salatul Eid. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Right? And then the imam starts to read, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Right? So sometimes the imam misses the extra takbirat. He says, Allahu Akbar, and starts reading, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. That means he missed the time. He missed the opportunity to practice the sunnah of the extra takbirat. Right? He missed it. It doesn't mean we have to pray over. He didn't invalidate the whole Eid prayer, but he missed the opportunity to practice that sunnah. So even when we say stuff like he left off a sunnah, even that type of wording for us in our city is dangerous, because the way we interpret things is like we put the worst spin on it. We put the worst way you could possibly think of it. That's how we understand it. So when I say a person left the sunnah, that means they missed the opportunity to practice that sunnah. Tayyib. Tayyib. That was 7. Number 8. He says, وَيُقَصِّرُ الْخُطْبَةِ. It's sunnah to shorten the khutbah. The khutbah is sunnah to be short. Now let me ask y'all, what is a long khutbah? Hour?
45 minutes.
A long khutbah. I said stop, man. What's a long khutbah? Hour? Yo. Anything over 45. Back in the day, yo, you used to get the khutbah, yo, John, be an hour and a half, yo. People, people be sleep. I'm talking about like flat. Astaghfirullah. Khutbah be like an hour and a half. Straight up. Tayyib. Now, all right, what's a short khutbah for us? What's a short khutbah in our time? 20 minutes. Tayyib. That might vary from place to place, country to country. Everybody probably might agree that, but I've been in a khutbah one time. Sheikh gave a khutbah. The khutbah, both khutbahs. There, he left. Both khutbahs and the salat. It was like 11 minutes all together. I said, yo, I'm dead serious. It might have been 12. It wasn't. I'm just saying. It wasn't 15 minutes with the salat. Now, with this one, we was in Mecca. In Mecca, that's even shorter. That's short for Mecca, right? But sunnah is that the khutbah is short and the salat is long, right? So here, he's crazy. We spoke to the sheikh after the khutbah. He asked him if he had something to do. He said, "Sheikh, you busy?" I said, "This boy's crazy, man." He gave 2 khutbahs and the salat. It was like 12 minutes. The khutbah, ayat, hadith, break, hadith. It was mashallah, it was real clear. Wasn't confusing. It was real clear. Next thing you know, he closed out. We prayed. Like, subhanAllah, that was a short. I've never been in a khutbah that short, right? But I'm not telling everybody to go do 10-minute khutbahs. I'm just saying it could vary. You go somewhere in the salat is short. I mean, the khutbah is short. There's no problem. It's no problem. A lot of times, especially when you're passing through a masjid, a lot of times the masjids will operate based on the community. So, for example, I know a masjid right now, they pray Isha at when everybody was praying Isha like 6:10, 6:15, they still were praying Isha at 7:30. That was standard. Everybody in that community, for the most part, and their jobs were all kind of like on the same type of schedule, so everybody kind of got off at the same type of time, so everybody kept it and met up at the masjid at 7:30 to pray Jumu'ah, and that works for their community, right? Which is fine. It's Isha is still in. The problem is we'll go in that masjid, right? And we're going to look at the time on the thing when they pray Isha, and then we're upset because why they not praying Isha now? Why they waiting until 7:30 to pray Isha? Well, it's a community and it works for the community. There's nothing wrong with that. As the Prophet ﷺ taught us, like, you know, if this community can stand it, you can delay Isha is better if the people can stand it. And if not, then make it easy on the people. Yes, Father.
So what if a kuffar comes in and shit to make the shahada, and it's only 39 people, and we're about to pray Jumu'ah. Well, we're about to pray Dhuhr, but we didn't start praying Dhuhr yet. And then we help him make his shahada. He makes his shahada, and he joins to pray of Jumu'ah. Is that counted as 40 people?
Yep. He said, what if a kafir comes in before we pray Jumu'ah and takes shahada? And we had 39 people before he took shahada. We were going to pray Dhuhr because we only had 39 people. Then here goes somebody come in and they take shahada. Now we have 40. So what are we doing now? Are we praying Jumu'ah? No. Huh? Now we praying Jumu'ah because we got 40 people. Allahu Akbar. Tayyib. That was number 8, to shorten the khutbah. The last one, he says, وَيَدُعَى لِلْمُسْلِمِينَ, and to make dua for the Muslims. To make dua for the Muslims is Sunnah in the khutbah. Sunnah in the khutbah, to make dua for the Muslims in general. And even in the explanation, it says it's also allowed, it says also in the sharh, to make dua for a specific person in the khutbah. They mentioned that issue of making dua for a specific person. I think we'll stop there. I don't want to do overload. Again, it's important to understand these type of books that we study in, these level books, because people say this all the time when there's an issue, the scholars differ. They say, yeah, but what's the strongest opinion? These books are not necessarily for that. The strongest opinion is whatever you hear a sheikh say. When a sheikh answers a question, that's the strongest opinion of him usually. That's why he answered it like that. Everybody clear? When Sheikh bin Baz, rahimahullah, when you read his questions and answers, he answered it like that because in his opinion, that's the strongest opinion in the issue, if there's different. Sheikh Fawzan, hafidhullah, he answers like that because in his opinion, that's the strongest one. Even though the scholars differ, he answers it like that because in his opinion, that one is stronger. Everybody get it? So the strongest opinion is according to the scholar being asked the question. Each scholar is going to answer according to what he sees from his research and his knowledge to be the strongest opinion. So when they differ at the end, they differ. These books are not necessarily built like that. It doesn't mention, I'm only mentioning the different in issues where I know it may be new information to us. So I mentioned, okay, well, what if we do it? And that might cause some, and the issues that might cause some confusion to us. We need to understand, okay, well, if he's saying that, why are we doing what we're doing? If he's saying this, then why are we, okay, because in this issue, the scholars differ in this issue. And some say, no, it doesn't have to be like that. That's the only reason I'm mentioning, not to confuse people and put a hardship on people to think, man, I've been doing this for 30, so all for the past 16 years, all my salats, there's a difference of opinion. That's the only reason I'm mentioning it. But these books are not for that. These books are, as you can see, are straight through, very introductory to see, okay, what's the issue? Let's understand what the issue is. Once we understand what the issue is, we can go a little further as far as which one the dalil is stronger. Why do they say that? Let's look at the dalil. Okay, well, that's clear. You're going to read you'll read one of the opinion of the scholars, right? And Sheikh al-Albani, rahimahullah, he was very good at presenting information. So if you read Sheikh al-Albani's stuff first, like if you read anything from Sheikh al-Albani first and you read nothing else, it would sound like there's nothing else to read. The way he presents and lines everything up, you're like, man, how can you go against that? Everything is clear. His presentation is very strong, right? And then you go read other books like Sheikh Uthaymeen. You see Sheikh Uthaymeen going against, they differ. Why? How they differ? What could you possibly have? It sounds like he mentioned everything. But then you go read other books, you say, he didn't mention that. Why he didn't mention that? You understand what I'm saying? So these books are not necessarily for the back and forth. These are just for a basic introductory. What's the issue? Let's get clear what the issue is. If somebody were to give the Jumu'ah khutbah sitting down, what does that mean for us? That means that person missed the opportunity to practice the sunnah of standing up while giving the khutbah. That's what it means. So now we know, okay, because most people, based on what I always see the imam standing. I always see the imam sit down between the two khutbahs, right? I always see the person who gave the khutbah, they lead the salat, right? So when you go through it like this in these categories, it lets you understand, okay, where do they fall? If something were to happen, how do I categorize that to make sure my salat or the Jumu'ah is still valid? Tayyib? Any questions before we stop? Further.
It's kind of related, but it's about it's related to the question about the person missing a prayer, not praying the one rak'ah. It's a similar question.
Yes.
Is there any difference of opinion on if a person doesn't listen to any of the khutbah, meaning they came late? Because I know a lot of people say, if you come to Jumu'ah, you didn't hear none of the khutbah, you can't say what the khutbah is about. Did you go to Jumu'ah? Like, is that something that is,
That is an issue. He didn't mention it here, or maybe he did mention, let me see. The question was if a person didn't hear anything from the khutbah, but he prayed the Jumu'ah salat, right? Is his Jumu'ah valid? Right? I think that issue is here. Let me see. We're not gonna do it tonight, but either way, either way, we're not gonna do it tonight. But either way, the ulama they separate between it. Meaning, missing the khutbah doesn't mean missing Jumu'ah. Missing Jumu'ah is missing the salat. So a person might have missed the khutbah, which, of course, you're not trying to miss the khutbah. But because I got there late and I missed the khutbah, doesn't mean my salat is invalid. That doesn't mean I can't pray Jumu'ah. No, you're still going to pray Jumu'ah with the Jama'ah. But of course, the reward is not going to be the same.
But you know why I asked that? Because it was like, I just didn't want to interrupt while you was talking. I immediately thought like, oh, you only caught, you came with the Tashahud, oh, you got to pray Lord. But I know for a lot of years, that was you ain't hear the khutbah, or you got to pray Lord.
If you didn't hear the khutbah. Yeah, that's not, Jade. That's a good question. That's not what they call, one doesn't equal, because you didn't hear the khutbah, doesn't mean your Jumu'ah is invalid.
As long as you quit
the salat. Yes. The salat is going to determine, if you pray Jumu'ah, Salatul Jumu'ah, me praying Salatul Jumu'ah is going to determine if how can I say this? Me catching Salatul Jumu'ah, the salat part, is going to determine if I pray Jumu'ah or not. Not necessarily the khutbah. So if I miss the salat, that means I have to pray dhuhr. If I miss the khutbah and caught the salat, I'm still praying Jumu'ah salat.
So you still get the reward.
I'm still getting a reward for praying Jumu'ah.
The obligation for Jumu'ah
Is fulfilled for prayer. Yes. Yes.
It's best to get the khutbah and the prayer.
No doubt. Tayyib. Any other questions? Did we stop? Yes. Say it again. I forgot again. I had a rough day, y'all. My bad. If you can, you gotta remind. If you could, can you email us or text us or something like that, to remind us before class, We probably gonna have another class. We probably gonna have another salat class on Monday. Maybe we do Monday and Wednesday. So we'll finish Kitab al-Salat before Ramadan. Because after Ramadan, we start a new chapter. So only thing left in this chapter is Salat al-Eid, which we'll save for the end of Ramadan, inshallah, and Salat al-Kusuf. It's a half a piece, a little bit more for Jumu'ah, and the eclipse prayer. The eclipse prayer is short, but the eclipse prayer, we're gonna go through it and learn it here, but I'm gonna direct everybody to the video also. Once you learn it, book knowledge, you need to see it in practice. The demonstration video that we did maybe like last year before we prayed it. That's on the YouTube and the Facebook, but it's on the YouTube page. So after we do the eclipse prayer, it'll be easy to go back and look at it based on what we cover in this book, inshallah. As for that question, you got to remind me a little earlier, probably before the next class, either by way of email or just text the masjid, inshallah. Further. Say it again. They don't come with the what? Yes. But we know that, yo, would y'all chill, y'all? I can't hear the sister. Sit down, don't look at me crazy. Say it again.
I said that's not how we practice our religion. Like this, like what I'm saying is we practice religion with proof.
Okay.
Do we still practice it because we learned the issue and not the proof, or do we wait till we get the proof?
Well, this is the problem. There's two ways to learn. The problem is this. You can read the proof, right? And because you read the proof don't mean you understand the proof. So it's two ways to learn that the scholars teach. Basically, you learn the issue and then you move up in the ladder to the proof and extract from the proof once you learn the issue. All the issues in these books are taken from the proof. They take them from the proof and they make them into issues, right? Why? Because you can read the ayat and you might not be able to pull. You reading the ayat, you might not be able to pull from that. So they've pulled from it for you, placed it in the book so you know it's an issue. So now when you go back to the ayat or hadith, it's easier to understand. That's the way the books are written in fiqh, intentionally like that. Now she's saying, well, are we practicing without proof? She's saying, are we practicing, since the book's not mentioning proof? She says, are we practicing without proof? Huh? Huh? He said it's a book had footnotes. Yeah, but the footnotes is not. Yes.
You already said at the beginning of the book that the author already got the dalil for us, and that this book is not taught in that sense. So it's kind of like the disclaimer for the people that was here already.
Let me ask you this, sister. When a sister comes into the masjid for Isha, right? We about to pray Isha. And she is not Muslim and you give her Shahada before we pray Isha. You with me? Sister? Tayyib. In order to pray Isha, she has to do what first? She already took Shahada. Now what? You're going to teach her how to make wudu, right? Tayyib. When you teach her how to make wudu, what you going to do? You're going to show her. Are you going to tell her all the hadith and Bukhari and Muslim about wudu? So is her wudu correct? Is she following you without proof? There's a level of that in Islam, yes. In Islam, there's a level of that. We term it in English, we say, and this is what people say, it's not always bad, but it's become to be something, a term that's looked down on. We call it blind following. Islam has a level of blind following. Nobody goes and take a new shahada and read from Bukhari and tell them how to make wudu. You tell them what to do. Then when you line them up, you tell them what to say. Just follow me and say this. Right? Okay, there's levels. Introductory books are on the new shahada level, if you can term it like that. This is what you have to do. From who? These are not random people writing these books. If you really want the dalil, all you got to do is go to books like, read through Sahih Bukhari, read through Bulugh al-Maram, Attainment of the Objective. If you really want all the dalil, just go through the Attainment of the Objective by Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. The whole book full of dalil. Only problem is you're going to read it and it's going to look like a regular hadith. You're not going to be able to pull out all these little points like that because you don't have the skill set to do it. You feel what I'm saying? So the scholars have already done it and they place them in these books first. So when you understand, once you get the picture and the sort of what's the issue, now we move over to the bigger book, which is the book of Dalil, which is Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Bulugh al-Maram, Umdatul al-Ahkam. These books are Hadith and Ahkam al-Hadith. These books are heavy books for a beginner to be reading. Can you read them? Yeah, you can read through them, but you're not going to be able to do this stuff. This is a very easy way of understanding the issue. And even if you say, I'm not going to follow that, all you got to do, it's not even about following this. Understand the issue and then go find it. Go find a hadith on it. Everybody clear? Well, yeah, these issues are not in here because it's no dalil attached to them. It's here to make it easy for the beginner student. Beginner student understands the issue. Okay, what's the next step? The next step is we go from here. So we had a class. It's called Ahadith Ahkam. Right? It's a separate class. So what does that mean? For example, right now we're reading through the chapter of Salat from this book. Zadam was stuck in it. No dalil mention, just the issues. Right? This will be our first class. This class at 8 o'clock in the morning. From 8 to 9:30. 9:30 to 10, we got a half-hour break. Then at 10 o'clock, we go to another class called Ahadith Ahkam. Ahadith Ahkam, right? In that class, we're not doing this. We're going to the hadith. We're studying the hadith from the book of Salat. So now we learn the dalil. We can understand and pull out from the actual hadith now. But you have this and that go together. Clear? If you try to do something that's above our heads, for real, which is just pulling from a hadith without knowing a lot of this, it takes a lot more skill to be able to do that. And that's why these books are written like that. Again, not because it's no dalil, because it's like a springboard. This springboards you to Sahih Bukhari. Allah Alam. We'll stop there, inshallah. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. That was a good question.